From the chains of slavery to the front lines of revolution, this is the true story of a man who defied every limit placed on him. Born into oppression, he rose to become a fearless leader, a brilliant strategist, and a symbol of freedom for an entire nation. In this video, we uncover the powerful journey of a slave who became a revolutionary hero, shaking the foundations of colonial power and rewriting history. His courage changed the course of a country and inspired movements around the world. This isn't just a story of rebellion. It's a legacy of resilience, power, and unbreakable will. Today, we will talk about the slave who became a revolutionary hero. So before we get started, make sure to hit that like button. Also subscribe to my channel. The birth of a legend. Toussaint Louverture was born around 1743 on the French colony of Saint-Domingue, now known as Haiti. At the time, it was the richest colony in the world, fueled by sugar plantations and maintained through the backbreaking labor of enslaved Africans. Conditions were brutal, with many enslaved people dying from exhaustion, malnutrition, and abuse. Toussaint was born into this hellish system, but was unusually fortunate. He was allowed to learn how to read and write, a rarity among enslaved people, and was reportedly well educated in French, Latin, and philosophy. This education planted seeds that would later grow into revolutionary ideas. He studied Enlightenment thinkers like Rousseau, who wrote about liberty and the rights of man, ideas that directly contradicted the world he was born into. These concepts would later shape his vision for a free and equal society. From enslaved worker to freedman, Toussaint was eventually freed in his early 30s. Unlike many of his peers, he didn't immediately seek to escape or hide. Instead, he worked as a paid employee on a plantation, rising to the position of manager. He gained the respect of both black and white workers through his discipline, knowledge, and leadership skills. But while his status had changed, his heart remained with the enslaved. He saw their suffering, their hopelessness, and the injustices they endured every day. When the winds of revolution began to blow across the Atlantic, they didn't spare Saint-Domingue. Inspired by the French Revolution, a growing number of enslaved and free black people began to talk of rebellion. In 1791, the colony erupted in a full-scale slave revolt. The chaos was immense. Plantations burned, masters were overthrown, and enslaved people rose up by the thousands. Toussaint did not join the rebellion immediately. Instead, he watched carefully, waiting for the right moment to act. The rise of a revolutionary commander. When he did step into the fight, it was not as a soldier but as a strategist. Toussaint brought order to the chaos. He trained fighters, established discipline, and organized forces that were once nothing more than scattered mobs. His military brilliance became apparent quickly. He launched surprise attacks, outmaneuvered colonial troops, and forged alliances that no one thought possible. Soon, he was recognized as the leading figure in the slave uprising. What set him apart wasn't just his ability to win battles. It was his vision. He didn't seek revenge. He sought liberation, not only for himself or for a few, but for all those who had been enslaved. His fight was not about replacing one oppressor with another. It was about tearing down the system that made slavery possible. Fighting empires and playing politics. Toussaint's challenge was massive. He had to fight not only the French, but also invading Spanish and British forces who wanted control over the island. He played a dangerous game of diplomacy, switching allegiances strategically to serve the cause of freedom. At one point, he fought for Spain, then against Spain, and later aligned with revolutionary France when it abolished slavery in its colonies. He was not motivated by loyalty to any empire. His loyalty was to his people and to the idea of a nation where black men and women could live free. His political maneuvering was bold, risky, and brilliant. He used the chaos of international politics to carve out a space for black sovereignty and self-rule. The governor of a new Haiti. By 1801, Toussaint Louverture had taken control of the entire island. He declared himself governor for life, and issued a constitution that banned slavery forever. He had done the impossible. A man born in bondage had risen to lead a free nation. He worked tirelessly to rebuild the economy, restore order, and educate the people. He invited exiles to return, reopened schools, and promoted religious tolerance. His rule was firm but just, driven by the belief that black people were capable of self-governance and deserved the same rights as any European citizen. But this success did not go unnoticed. Napoleon Bonaparte, now ruler of France, viewed Toussaint's independence as a threat. He sent an army of over 20,000 soldiers to reassert control over the colony. It was one of the largest military expeditions ever launched to the Americas. But once again, Toussaint and his people resisted. The final betrayal. Despite fierce resistance, Toussaint tried to avoid unnecessary bloodshed. He entered negotiations with the French, hoping to secure peace and protect the gains of the revolution. But he was betrayed. In 1802, under the guise of peace talks, Toussaint was arrested by French forces. He was shipped to France in secret, separated from his family, and imprisoned in a remote freezing fortress in the Jura Mountains. There, far from the tropical lands he had fought to free, Toussaint Louverture died of pneumonia in 1803. He never saw his homeland again. But his death did not end the revolution. Legacy of a revolutionary hero. The fight he started continued. Inspired by his leadership and sacrifice, his generals carried on the struggle. By 1804, Haiti declared its independence, becoming the first black republic in the world and the only nation born from a successful slave revolt. Toussaint Louverture's legacy is not just Haitian, it is global. He proved that the oppressed could rise, that dignity could be reclaimed, and that courage could break chains centuries old. His name is etched in the history of freedom movements around the world, from Latin America to the civil rights struggles in the United States. The man behind the myth. It's easy to see Toussaint Louverture as a mythic figure, but he was also a man, flawed, complex, and deeply human. He was known to be strict with his troops, harsh with those who betrayed the cause, and sometimes autocratic in his leadership. But these qualities were born from necessity. He was trying to hold together a fragile new society in a world that saw black freedom as a threat. He made mistakes. He trusted the French when he shouldn't have. He underestimated how far the colonial powers would go to crush rebellion. But through it all, his commitment to freedom never wavered. What do you think of our video? Let me know in the comments section below. Before you go, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching.